Oh wait, was that morally debatable? Well, male fan service is quite often discussed and debated. You seldomly see discussions about female fan service, which most of the time should mean showing sexualized men. But what is fan service exactly? According to Wikipedia, it is material in a work of fiction or in a fictional series that is intentionally added to please the audience and is often sexual in nature. Then every dating game is fan service, is it? I think the thing about the word fan service is its negative connotation. Saying, oh, that is a fan servicey game, kind of implies it doesn't have as much value or even as bad, maybe even immoral. And that's the first thing I want to oppose. Wanting to see beautiful characters naked is nothing bad. For me personally, it only becomes a problem when it goes against the character. Like when the fan service is practically harassing the character because, you know, she or he wouldn't be liked to shown in that pose or wouldn't like to be seen in that way. And that might also be why female fan service isn't discussed as often. Seeing females as victims of the male gaze is more commonly discussed than males falling victim to harassment. Nonetheless, it's hard to deny there might be scenes in some otome games which please the eye. Is it really necessary for them to take off their shirts? Of course, it's very important for the overall plot and character development. Okay, clearly can't stay neutral in this discussion. But still, there are very few scenes where our beloved characters actually show some skin. Or maybe there are some, but who would complain? Yeah, I mean, okay, the point is, I can't recall scenes which are sexy just for the sake of being sexy alone, without a connection to the plot or character. Talking of sexy times, could sexy times be considered fan service and therefore has no real value in a game? Again, even if, why not? They're enjoy- Stop it! I have a hard time thinking of scenes which felt detached from the plot. I know some people say Admirari no Tenbin is a horny game, with unnecessary sexy times all the time. But while I can see that a bit, but saying that would also imply that these sexy scenes have no right to be there and therefore have no right to be part of a relationship development. Why not see it as a progression of their relationship and a new level of intimacy? Otome games do depict relationships, and they are free to depict different kinds and stages of relationships. But what about a game like Jakou no Lyla, where her job literally is to seduce men to obtain information from them as a spy? There literally even is one scene where she has to first seduce a customer in order to prove her ability of seduction. And for that purpose she also has a special tattoo which is either magic or just mythical orient, which makes men go wild so they can't control their desires anymore. If that isn't fan service. But again, allowing such an argument would imply that games which focus on the female power of seduction don't have a right to exist. Especially Jakou no Lyla with its strong, calculating and intelligent MC. Is rather an example of female empowerment than anything else. But then of course the theory that all men will fall prostrate to the charm of her tattoo doesn't quite shed a positive light on the male characters, does it? But nevertheless, the game manages to emphasize believing men are wolves won't lead you to a good ending, and the art of seduction is strictly distinct from love. From the few games I've played, I would still say Jakou no Lyla is the most fan-servicey game. But still the fan service is tied together with a political plot and never takes the upper hand. Though the threesome endings are a whole other level. I think they actually only exist to please the female fantasy. But again, nothing wrong about that. I would rather say there are too few games focusing on the female fantasy and female perception of characters and attractiveness, especially outside the otome genre. And that opens the discussion to what female fan service actually is. I would argue female fan service doesn't solely consist of naked upper bodies, the search for real man breasts, and yes, there's a very lively discussion about that. Some anime male breasts are a bit clean. You know what is missing. What women want in men, and they say that for the broadest case of broadest average, is strong chivalry. Being protected and carried in his strong, muscle-packed, slightly sweaty... Yes, anyway. What players draws to a game is not mainly the muscle-packed upper bodies and promise of sexy times, but how all this is tied into a story, fulfilling our mental fan service, if that is a word. Meaning, what seems more important is the emotional representation of the character. Oh wait, I forgot Diabolik lovers existed. This might actually be the most fan-servicey game, without a plot but equipped with a dummy head mic. The franchise has been successful since 2012, with 7 games, an anime adaptation and multiple CDs. All revolving about hot voices whispering into your ear while they do stuff to you you don't really want. Setting aside that you either hate or love Diabolik lovers, and I'm, for the moment, part of the first group, it exactly caters towards the fantasy of the players, in this case being harassed by hot vampires. That's the sole and only reason of this successful franchise. But that again pushes the boundaries of the word fan service. Just catering towards a certain audience alone is not fan service. You would have to add content solely for the purpose of pleasing the player, regardless of the game. But if we consider Diabolik Lover's setup literally is, sweet girl gets harassed by sadistic hot vampires. Doing exactly that is not a stretch of the game. It is the game, and therefore not fan service. It's kind of like you wouldn't call porn fan service either. And there's of course the kinkiest of kinky otome games, Klap, Kind Love and Punish, where one of the mechanics, and probably the unique selling point of the game is, to spank your yokai students to prevent them from transforming into their uncontrollable yokai form. Fan service? Maybe. But I would be willing to accept a lot of fantasy explanations to hear my favorite voice actor moan. And I'm not ashamed to say that and spank him good. But in defense of the game, it's not really a core mechanic, but rather a funny gimmick, and the story and characters would be lovable even without this embarrassing minigame. So it's not about sexy times or kinky times, or pleasing the player, it's about doing something that doesn't fit the game. And the last thing I could think as fan service are literally fan discs. Games that serve the purpose of giving you more sweet time, more time with the characters, more sweet and funny times. But the same applies. That's the purpose of the game. Though the quality of some FDs might be debatable, that is what players want. More of the same, more sweet time, more lovely interactions. They can be shoehorned overall, I would say, but still stay true to the characters. And don't force them into something they are not. Like that one scene in Yunohana Spring, where Kota acted totally out of character, in my opinion, just to provoke a scene that is like classical romantic. That would be fan service in my opinion, badly done. So fan service is when it's detached from the game and the characters, and even alienate the characters, and that doesn't really fit in or even feels unnecessary. And apart from the mentioned beach scenes or little seduction scenes, I would say most scenes in otome games serve a purpose, be it the progression of the relationship or the plot. Yeah, sure. Fulfilling what they promised the player, be it sadomasochistic scenes, sweet and passionate love, or a thrilling, empowering spy story. But I don't think they ever, and that is the true problem lying behind the fan service debate, I don't think they ever make a man, our love interest, a mere object of female desire. What is in core often criticized about male fan service, making the woman a mere object and not respecting her character anymore. I'd argue I have never seen that happen in an otome game. In all the games I've played so far, the characters, male as well as female, and their development is the focus of the game. So what you could call fan service in an otome game actually just caters to female fantasies, fulfills their dream of romantic love and desire. You could even say it gives female desire a voice, which is often disregarded in other video games which consider themselves serving towards a male audience, though this is becoming less and less true. I think many otome games are there to oblige to the female fantasy. That's the target market, letting players experience a romance unlike any other and far away from reality. And if you call that fan service, then I wish every game had fan service. And for more controversial discussions, check out my video about romance taboos.